this is Ken's Guitar Workshop, and for this week's video we're going to do a little how-to on how to make a bone pick from scratch. And what I'm using here is Dentley's dog bone. It's just, I don't know, just a plain old bone. There's no meat or none of that tasty stuff inside. It's just a regular dog bone. So this was a request from a subscriber, so let me take it down on a bench and let's get started. Alright, so we have our bone here, and the first thing we want to do is you want to decide how we're going to cut it so we can utilize the most of the flat areas. So I think first cut's going to be right here. Second cut will go down here. It's pretty obvious why. It's a nice flat area there. And there's another flat area over here. We'll cut it here. So we have three planes that we can work from. We have one here, and one right here. And let's just see approximately how many picks we can get out of here. So one there, one there, and probably one up here. So one here, one right there, and one. Here's a little surprise I wasn't expecting. So it looks like we should probably get maybe 9 picks out of this one bone. We'll talk about this again later. So let's go run over to the bandsaw and make those 3 cuts. Okay, when you sand bone on a belt sander, you're going to make sure you have your safety glasses. Definitely make sure you have a dust mask. Now I would actually, if I wasn't using any dust extraction, I would be using these. But since I'm using dust extraction, this will work just fine. So let's head over and start sanding these monkeys. After sanding this for a little while, I noticed there was a slight imperfection on the inside of the bone. And the more I sanded it, the more the imperfection grew. At this point, I started to notice that it looked like it was a sliver in the bone. And where I was sanding it away, it was sanding away the wood and leaving the channel that had formed in the bone from it being there. Now, as I was sanding this bone down, I noticed there was something in the middle of it. And the further I go, it looks like a sliver. Looks like a piece of wood. But that was in the center of the bone, in the middle of the bone. And that might hamper how many picks we get out of this. Let's head back to the sander and find out. So I thought I could sand it out, at least, you know, save some of the bone at that end. But the more I sanded, the deeper it went, and then I noticed that there was a hole on the outside of the bone where it was probably where it entered. I got this pick, and I'm just trying to see where it heads to. I'm scraping the wood out. And then finally I just got to the point to figure, you know what, I'm just gonna, yeah, there it is. I'm just gonna sand this section of the bone right through. Yeah, there's the entry hole. So here I'm just sanding it off, just to kind of investigate where this hole goes, just to see if it does go through all the way. I stick the pick in it and I pry the pick up and it goes right through the bone. And that's when I realize I'm wasting my time sanding this section off. So I'm just going to go over to the saw and cut it off. There was a shard of wood that went into the bone and all the way through to the center where the marrow would be. So it pretty much rendered that part of the bone useless. But I gotta tell you, that must have hurt, because it was actually wood and it went in the bone from the outside and all the way to the center. Interesting. A lot of times you'll find in the bone there'll be air pockets, or like you just saw, slivers, you know, where the animal probably when it was young, stumbled on something or fell into something, or so. It looks like I'm only going to be able to get 2 picks out of this piece of bone, but that's okay. The bone is cheap. All right, there's 1. Do I have enough room to get 2? Ooh, it's going to be tight. One there. I might only be able to get 1. Ah, there we go. All right. Tracing time. Okay. All right. Oh, both of these, I missed the tips. Let's get the tips traced out. Now, since they're both so close together, I'm not going to cut them out with the bandsaw. I have a small razor saw, which is about maybe 10 thousandths thick blade. So I'm going to go in, trim around here first, and then come back with that saw and cut it. All right. Cut that on the bandsaw. Now, best I can, I'm going to cut this right between the 2 picks. It's really tight in there. Pretty close together. So just to make it easier, we'll throw a clamp on each corner. Stabilize the wood piece a little bit. Hell, that's a lot easier. There we go. We salvaged enough to get 2 out of it. So, all right, back to the belt sander. So we've been running this on the belt sander for a while, and it's getting nice and flat, getting a nice thickness here. Measure it here, here, and here, and it's all right about the same. As you saw, it's well over 3 millimeters at this point, and that's pretty damn thick. So I'm going to go back over to the belt sander and keep sanding it down. When you're sanding this down on the belt sander, you can lick your thumb and then just stick it to your thumb and then go to the belt sander, and you don't have to worry about it going flying off because it actually sticks to your finger pretty well. But one thing I will warn you is the pick gets hot. Just sand it until you can't stand the heat anymore, and then stop. Let it cool down, blow on it, whatever you want to do. Just don't spray it with water, or don't put it in any cold water. You don't want this bone to soak up any water. So I'm going to head back to the belt sander and keep sanding this down, and I'll be back when the thickness is right about 1.6 millimeters. So hang tight. Well, I'm not gonna find it. That's always fun. Just a little tip. Once it gets too hot to hold, that's a good time to just like hold it by the ends and then just refine your shape a little bit. It gets hot. And if you heat it up too much, it's going to turn brown. I don't know if you can see that stripe right there. It's just because it got a little hot, a little too hot. Doesn't affect it at all. Doesn't make it brittle or anything. It's just torrified. Torrified bone. Hey, it works with wood. Why not with bone? All right, let's see where we're at. We're getting there. The one thing about it heating up is the thinner it gets, the quicker it heats up. All right, let's get back to work. Here's a good little tip for you. Your old snow brushes work really good for cleaning off your sandpaper. Now I know some of you might say something because I'm not wearing my safety glasses down over my eyes. And the reason for that is when wearing one of these and you're wearing your glasses, your breath comes up in the front of your glasses and fogs them up. Which is pretty dangerous when you're working on a power tool, to not be able to see what you're doing because you're wearing safety glasses. I'm not worried about a bone shard coming shooting off this thing, so I'm more worried about my lungs. But here we are. It's a little thicker at the back end, but that's all right. We'll take care of that. We're about 2 millimeter now. So you're gonna take off like 0.4 millimeters, and we'll be done with this contraption. Let's get to it. spent a good amount of time on a belt sander. As you saw, we got the thickness down to 1.6, and shape is really close. Now if I put another pick on top of it, you could see just a hair larger. So that's going to give me enough to do a little sanding to finalize the shape. And then we're going to start at like, what do I got here, 220, go up through the grits to 1,000, and then buff it, and then we'll have a nice pick. So let's get to it. Starting out right here with 250 grit.
Putting a round over on it.
I believe this is 600. Now this one's 800. Now it's time for 1,000 grit. During this little slow motion reel here, you can see how shiny the pick is. Sanding through the grits and then buffing it with the compound really puts a nice shine on it. Alright, so that's the end of this video. I hope those of you who wanted to see how a bone pick was made enjoyed that. See, now it's nice, pretty nice and shiny. You see right here, it's got a couple of Mother Nature marks in it. Little dark spots in the bone. That's pretty cool. All in all, 2 hours to make it. Nice. All right. We see you guys in the next video. Behave yourself. And hey, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. I don't care either way. Just hit one of them. Anyway, we'll see you next time.